This looks like quite a good panel. Huh? We are equal in numbers because the moderator is not part of the panel. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to this last section. And I would like to start with my glasses so that I know who I am. Gerald, you are from VIG. And you're head of reinsurance. That is a very important role. And
sounds important, maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, I think it is a very important role because I've always learned that if you want to learn about insurance, you have to talk to the reinsurers because you are a professional insurer. Of insurers, so you have to be smarter than the insurers. So if you will look at this protection gap and we listen to the presentations and to many other stories, we have the feeling that everybody is running away from the risks. The policyholders, maybe because of bad experience, they forget about insurance. The insurers say, well, it's not my problem because that's for the reinsurers. And the reinsurers say, oh, no, I don't take all these risks. So everybody's running away. Now, Gerald, what should we do and how can reinsurers really contribute?
It sounds pretty dramatic the way you're describing it. Yeah. Back to what you mentioned before, yeah, maybe reinsurance is important here because our company is going to celebrate a 200-year anniversary, and it's still there. What I have followed over the last 25 years when I was in reinsurance, and I'm in charge here of outgoing reinsurance, not an active reinsurer, is that in reality, nobody's running away, but nobody dares to move. That's for me the key problem. Because what I've seen is the floods in '97 in the Czech Republic. What I've seen is in 2002, the floods in Austria. And no matter where you were looking at, there was a huge protection gap. We have heard at some stage during the calls that or in discussions outside that the Western European states are more developed than CE states. If I'm looking at the insurance penetration, which was in Germany 2021, and I'm looking at the insurance penetration and the coverage in a policy in the Czech Republic, already in '97 and up to today, it's totally different. In the Czech Republic, you have an insurance penetration of 80+%, 85, 87. And about everybody has a full natural protection. So most of the people are, well, nobody is fine in case of a flood, yeah, it's quite clear, but financially supported in a safe way because they have an insurance contract. So they are somebody who is legally bound to pay. And the reinsurance world behind the Czech Republic has paid as well. There is no doubt about it. And this is a situation which we have seen in much smaller scale renewed in 2013 with the floods as well. They were much smaller, but there was no doubt that the reinsurance market is going to pay what they're obliged to do. And the insurance companies pay what they're obliged to do.
Yes, but...
Okay.
The but is that several reinsurers have already announced that they are reducing their capacity for natural catastrophes because of
price, nothing else. It's always a question of cost, in my opinion. I have the absolute certainty so far on what we have been doing with VIG CAT program, that if you're willing to pay the right price, the reinsurers are going to cover you. And this is pretty much driven by the risk which you're exposing them to, or what you as an insurance company are exposed to. And if I'm taking an additional step and look at in comparison, what I wanted to do, the Czech situation with a full protection for 85% of the population and the state investing a lot of money in flood protections. An awful lot of money. Yeah? And I'm looking at it on the opposite, on the Austrian side. Same situation, 2002, a lot of flood. And we were asked by the financial, the Ministry of Finance in 2004, 5, I don't remember anymore exactly which date it was, to create 100% or as high as possible insurance protection for the Austrian population. And the Insurance Association did it. And you still have the material somewhere lying around. And the Austrian Insurance Association, as such, is pronouncing that we have a concept ready for forever in the last 15 years, yeah, especially in the last 5 years, very often. Just to make sure that the insurance at the very end is not the idiots in the game, but it's the politicians who are those who are causing a problem. Because there is, for flood and for quake in Austria, quite normally a sublimit of 10,000 euros, 15,000 euros, 20,000 euros maybe, which in my opinion, in case of an event, is cleanup cost. It doesn't cover the real risk which the people are running. And then you're having a catastrophe fund in Austria. This is a part of the state budget, which is financing fire brigade and flood protection measures and which is regulated in each and every of the counties, of the 9 counties in Austria, in a different form. And you get from the state sometimes 20%, depends on the county you're living in. If you're across the street, maybe you get 50% because it's a different county. You get 30% or whatever you might get. And well, that's my highlight. I love it. Yeah? If you are insured, the payment from the insurance is deducted from what you get from the state. Because you're an idiot, you paid insurance premium. So it doesn't mean that the insurance wouldn't want to go, that's my conclusion, wouldn't want to do that, cover in full. And the reinsurance market would be capable of doing it. It's just a question of how to set it up and how to handle it and how to clean it up politically. For me, the first thing to do is change the law in Austria. If you can buy insurance, the state is not going to pay anything. And for me, the state is the last resort. Yeah, there is the insurance world. We can cover homeowners and everybody, big companies, of course, with respective sublimits, but homeowners, small commercial, up to 100% against all natural perils. That's for me an important one. All natural perils, everybody, to find an equalization all over the county, all over the country. This is manageable. And then the reinsurance world behind it, behind the insurance world. And then maybe via ILS additional capital resources. And then if it's getting much too big, it's the state. That's the responsibility of the state at the very end. That's my view.
Yes.
But that's politically impossible.
Well,
the pressure is not hard enough yet.
No, but it will come. I think that what you're saying is let the value chain operate as efficiently as it can and the state come in the last resort. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I can tell you that in Brussels, people are thinking about, at least, you know, you cannot force every member state of the European Union to do these sort of things, but you can advise and guide them in that direction.
And some countries were very early, and maybe this is better with you. Yeah, you had your Romanian pool, and it's obligatory.
Let's move on to the Romanian pool, because it's a natural development now to hear a little bit about how Romania has addressed that issue, because your country is also prone to major catastrophes, you know, earthquakes and all these terrible things. Tell us.
Yes, sure. To reach a certain level of resilience and sustainability eventually, in the absence of a proper financial protection is not at all an option. And I think it's impossible. In coming to Romania, we have, and I'm referring just to the mandatory system for housing insurance. we have a number of 9,700,000 dwellings. Let's make around 10 million dwellings, out of which we have insured just 2,100,000. So it is simply to calculate a coverage of around 20%, 21%, which means that, yeah, in Romania, in this sector, it is clearly a protection gap which we try to cover permanently. And in this respect, our company is doing a lot of put a lot of effort in convincing the people through different campaigns regarding the benefits of this insurance. Nevertheless, the big effort which we put during the last year, it was in bringing some changes in the legislation, the legislation which governs PAID's activity, because this legislation proved to do not be effective and productive in what regards the implementation of it. In the form in which the law is written, the implementation of this insurance is allocated to the public authorities, and this never worked. So since November last year, we have some changes in our legislation, which we hope to bring a growth in our portfolio. And just to name a few of them, first, we introduce a checkpoint for our PAD policy on the land register. Then we expand the distribution of this policy to the brokers and also to other distributors. This is supposed to make from this policy a more accessible policy, mostly for the rural area and small villages. And also we introduce in the law the multi-yearly policy. This change, it is supposed to bring an increasing in the renewal rate for the banks, for the houses which are bought through the banks. So we are waiting, and we will see if these changes will bring growth in our portfolio, but we believe this will be some good changes in our portfolio. In what regards the reinsurance, because we discuss this hot issue, this is a hot issue for PAID. PAID covers in this moment, has an exposure of over 40 billion euro. And yeah, it is clearly that we have a problem in covering the reinsurance for any exposure which we assume. Having the hard condition of the reinsurance market in 2023, both in terms of cost and capacity, yeah, our activity, our P&L was dramatically hit because our cost increased with 60%. And having the business model of PAID, which is a very social one, with a limited premium, we do not have the possibility to adapt our premium as frequent as we need according to the market developments. So we have to find other solution in order to mitigate this risk. We have now the biggest reinsurance program in CEE. its level is 1,200 million, and will reach soon 1,300 million euro, which is a huge amount. And of course, the capacity exists, but we have to have it at the right price. Just to mention few of the measures which we already took in order to mitigate this risk. We collect more granular the data in order to better modeling our risks. We try to increase our own retention, but here we have to say that we cannot do it in big steps due to our limitation, as I already told you. And the last part, but not least, we are trying to explore new solution, alternative risk solutions. But here I have to mention that these solutions are more expensive than the traditional one, and furthermore, these are not compliant with our regulatory rules. So yeah, it's difficult to find other solution, but we are going with this monitoring this solution, and maybe we can change a part of our program with other alternative solution. So these are the main challenge which we have in this moment, and we try to mitigate as much as we can in order to have a better coverage with reinsurance.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting. Menekse, if I can move to you, you've talked about the bad wolves. Do you see good wolves in Turkey that can help you?
Actually, it's not, the joke is not this. No bad wolves. The wolf is good, but during summer he's frozen. After summer, and so winter, he's frozen. When the summer comes, he doesn't forget the cold. So things are passing, but you remember the impacts. This was what I meant. So we are the wolf. Okay, but what was your question? I forget.
No, my question is, how do you see the role of reinsurance in Turkey? And I do understand that you also have some kind of pooling mechanism for natural catastrophes in Turkey. Or am I wrong?
You're right. Actually, we have a pool for agriculture. The agriculture pool is, all the insurance companies are members, and it's managed, and it's developed by some subsidization of the World Bank at the beginning. But TCIP is Turkish Catastrophe Insurance Pool, is separate than the agricultural pool. And TCIP is managed by different companies. It started with Milleri, then for some years Eureko Insurance Company was the manager, and since 2020, Türk Reinsurance is the manager of the pool. And during the management of Türk Reinsurance, we have really seen the major developments. And in terms of the capacity, as I mentioned, from 25 billion TL, it reached to 280 billion Turkish lira capacity, protection plus the reserves. In terms of the what Gerald was saying, I want to say something about it, because actually TCIP was established after the biggest earthquake in Izmit in '99. And this was 1999. It was a big earthquake, and there were very limited insured person. And despite the industrial dwellings and some mid-size, households were very limited, and all the burden was on the shoulders of the government. And this was the initial action to set up this TCIP, the pool. Now the penetration is approximately 55% for the houses who are subject to TCIP, because the pool is only covering the households and also the small shops under the apartment buildings at the entrance level of the households, like pharmacies or small shops. And in that area, the penetration is 55%, but still we see that this 45% is not insured, despite all the facts that we try to do because not only the title company, because if you don't buy or sell a house, you don't go to title company, but for using the electricity and the water, you are obliged. But still, the penetration is 45% less than it should be. So in case of a big event like this one, again, the 95% is on the shoulders of the government. So I strongly agree with what Gerald's saying. Actually, the government should say, if there is insurance available, which is the case, if you don't buy it, I don't pay anything. So the government should be the last resort, but they cannot do it because in our country, this is something like a public image. And if the government says something like that, they will ruin themselves. And it's always expected from the government, and this is very unfortunate. I don't know the situation in more European...
It is the same.
It is the same. Okay. So there is no escape for the government.
Well, let's check whether it's the same with Italy.
And also these TCIP policies are, at the beginning, people were saying this is a form of tax. But when there were some incidents like the Izmir earthquake, one earthquake, and this one, the public has seen that, yeah, this is paying. And the reinsurance-wise, the capacity is there. I believe, again, as he says, it's a matter of payment, the correct premium.
Yes, that's right. But let me see what Italy has to contribute here, because we haven't yet talked about the situation in Italy, and I suppose that things are not perfect.
I might answer, where are they perfect, if anywhere?
Very good question, my friend.
Here for a longer time now.
Yes.
You know, I was listening to you all, everything is very interesting, and I was also listening this morning to the speeches made by some of our supervisory authorities and trying to think, is it right, is it wrong, the level of intervention of authorities, of governments. It's not an easy answer. Maybe there is no perfect answer, but I think we're at the moment in the history where sustainability is so much relevant to us all. We need somebody to level the playing field. We need, when a consumer goes and purchases an insurance solution, to know if it is sustainable, why it is sustainable. If we invest in a company and they declare they are sustainable, we need to make sure it is. And I think at this moment in time, there's nobody else can do that but our supervisory authority. Now, I acknowledge and I'm aware of the pain that is behind that. I was listening to names and labels that many of us do face every day. EU taxonomy was mentioned this morning. This year we finally released EU taxonomy alignment results as everyone. CSRD, CS-DD. Somebody did mention SFDR and Article 8 and 9 and what does it mean? And labeling, so I'm aware. We are all aware of the pain. But let me make a metaphor with the wine. I'm Italian, I made metaphors with wine. If a consumer purchases an Amarone, red wine from Verona, they know what it is. They know more or less the type of quality they're gonna drink when they drink it. And I think we need to make sure the same level is achieved at the insurance framework. Now, what in my group I see as a further challenge is that as we do operate from US to China, we do not see yet convergency towards the different standards. And that makes our life really complex. No? When it comes to managing our assets, defining centrally products, dealing with regulators, that is really a complexity. We would like to get rid of. So this is what I'm saying. We need somebody to level the playing field for us, for all the stakeholders.
Yeah. Well, that's a good end of the conference today. We need somebody to level the playing field. I can tell you that it was 20 years ago that I organized, when I was at the Commission, a roundtable in Brussels about natural catastrophes and how to address that. And I exposed the member states with the predictions that were calculated by our institute in Florence about potential disasters and the impact on the economy of the member states. And stood out, I remember that vividly, was Romania and Bulgaria, which are predicted to, to face natural catastrophes that will take away a large part of your GDP. But still, today, and I think, Gerald, you used the right words. I was saying everybody's running away from the risks. But going back to your point now, nobody moves. And I think that is maybe the lesson we can take back home. It's time that somebody makes that move. And we've heard, and that's the positive news, if you look at what EIOPA has been publishing on the supply and demand side, it all starts by identifying the problems, problem definition, before you can resolve these problems. And I think we now have a better view on where it doesn't go right. And we should now start to have a bottom-up approach to address these problems and finally get then into a debate. Where is the role then of the state as the ultimate guarantor of any systemic problem that a country can face, so that each partner can play its role? I think that is maybe the positive message I can leave today, that there is move. But let's hope that after the parliamentary elections, and there's a new commission coming up, their wisdom will prevail. But I cannot be a guarantor of that. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we've taken too much now of your time. Let me first thank the members of my panel. Please join me in doing so.